Lakeland PBS presents Common Ground, brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Production funding of Common Ground is made possible in part by First National Bank Bemidji, continuing their second century of service to the community. Member FDIC. Welcome to Common Ground. I'm producer-director Scott Knudson. In this episode, I do something a little bit different and examine the culture of dogs in some of our communities.
Last day of school? Yeah, we walked across it. It was easy.
While filming my Common Ground Season 11 Love Letters to Itasca State Park, I was reminded of something I've known for a long time. Dogs hold a special place in our cultures, and not just Minnesota's many communities and cultures, but worldwide, as the international destination of Itasca State Park demonstrated for me. We take dogs everywhere with us. They mirror our emotions and support us emotionally. They offer unconditional love. Over the years of producing and directing Common Ground for Lakeland PBS, I've filmed several short segments on dogs in our cultures, including some stories at animal rescue organizations that I've neglected to find a home for, so to speak. My love letters to Itasca State Park this season 11 reminded me of my neglect of these stories. And so this episode of Common Ground visits with members of Rough Start Rescue, serving Lakeland PBS's southern viewing area, the Mod Squad at Great River Rescue in Bemidji, Minnesota, and then the amazing work being done by the Department of Natural Resources to use dogs to detect aquatic invasive species. So please enjoy and think about how dogs fit into the cultures of your communities.
My name is Kelly Erickson and I am with Rough Start Rescue out of Princeton, Minnesota. I am an internal volunteer, I am a foster parent, and I'm a transport coordinator. We are a foster-based animal rescue welfare organization for saving lives of at-risk animals that are found either strays, impounds, out of state, owner surrenders, and have taken in 10,000 animals. Our mission is to educate, our mission is to save the ones we can. I was in a really dark place before I found Rough Start. I needed a purpose in life, and I found them, and they stood for everything that I believed in, and they've just been a wonderful organization. They're supportive, and giving somebody else the joy of these dogs that have maybe not always gotten the best out of life into a new situation is just, it's life-changing. When I first got involved with Rough Start Rescue, it took a beating on my heart to see these dogs so emotionally battered. Not all of them are like that, but to see them get a new lease at life is like something I can't even describe. My experience with fostering with Rough Start, I've actually foster failed on 3 of my fosters. It is considered a fail. We're trying to transition it into a foster find because we don't really think that failure is quite the right word. The dogs that we typically have kept have had some behavioral issues, ones that may not be accepted out into a normal adoption, which is okay with us. We are very well prepared for those kind of things, but the majority of them have been wonderful dogs that have turned around and become awesome. Our current foster, Blake, was essentially feral when we received him. It's taken him a very long time to open up and trust us. However, in our home, it's quiet. He's not perfect. He maybe never will be perfect, but he has definitely made strides in learning how to be a dog inside of a house. So I typically don't allow the fosters to get under my skin essentially, or to worry about, their pasts. Unfortunately with Blake, it is something that I think about daily on what he endured and what happened to him. I'm trying to see past that, but it angers me that somebody could have done that to him. Not all dogs are like him. Not all dogs that we get to bring into rescue are his story, which helps. They're not all bad stories. Families fall on hard times and they want to do what's best for their pet. And that's what we're here for too. So that's a healthy balance, that we don't always see the horrible neglect or abuse cases. Most dogs that come from our shelters need a different environment to succeed. Shelters are loud and scary. It doesn't mean they're necessarily bad, but for some dogs, it just being in a quieter home definitely makes them shine, and some of the behaviors that they exhibited elsewhere disappear when they enter our foster homes. This is Rico, AKA the Naughty Ninja. He is from Louisiana. He was my first foster and I couldn't let him go. He's 5.5 pounds of sass and Chihuahua ways. He was found running in the swamps and he made his way to Minnesota. Loves the sun, loves kids, does not love my husband. He tries to bite him. He just thinks he's the boss and he needs to protect his mom. So I had to buy my husband some gloves, some animal handling gloves. And we joke about it. It's not all that funny, but it's a little bit funny. So what it takes to be a foster, it comes with huge responsibilities. You're caring for this animal that has just got uprooted from a shelter or an impound or somebody else's home. Your responsibility is obviously to tender loving care, making sure the animal is safe, following our rules of keeping the dog leashed or the cat from going outside. I try to focus on what we can do and what we are doing. There's just not enough that we would ever be able to save them all. That is our goal, but I just try to focus on the ones that we have and what we're doing and what we're focusing on for our future. It is an emotional high for me to see these dogs overcome, and to earn their trust is something that I wish everybody could experience. One of my goals is to continue to foster, to continue to help the ones that need more help than others. One of my goals is to foster a tripod dog. A tripod dog is one that is an amputee. Some of these dogs that get hit by cars, more of them in accidents, and we have to remove one of their legs. Having tripod animals is not uncommon. We see it not overly a lot, but we do see it a handful of times in the years that I've been with rescue. For our 2018 numbers, the total number of animals we took in 2018 was 2,048, 1,331 dogs, 676 cats, and 41 critters. Our animals came from 936 from local impounds, 547 were surrendered directly to us from their owners, 239 were transferred to us by our transfer partners, 196 were found unclaimed strays, and 130 were born into our rescue. So the animals that are brought into our rescue, what happens to them? 97.9% of our animals were placed, 1.1% of our animals passed away, 0.8% of animals were euthanized for medical reasons, and 0.1% of animals were euthanized for behavioral reasons. If you're looking for ways to help, you can volunteer. We have everything from hands-on with our animals to a specialized skill set that you may help in our office. We have a foster application right on our website. We can't save lives without foster homes. As long as everyone in your family is okay with it, bringing a new furry friend in is temporary. You can sign up today again on that application. You do get to choose what animal you want to bring into your home. It's not chosen for you. All animals within the rescue's care are looking for forever homes. If you are looking to add another furry member to your family, please check out our website and see who catches your eye. So if you don't have time to volunteer, we can always use donors, from animal supplies to actually donor dollars. We solely rely on the public's help to continue our effort. I feel like when our rescue goes out and educates people, there's that common bond that more people want to help, more people want to volunteer their time, volunteer to transport animals, volunteer to do some of our office administrative duties. It bonds people and people get that kind of high too. I think a lot of people think the rescue dogs are broken, and that's not the case. They just need some time, a supportive husband and family, patience, a supportive group of friends, and love.
lots of people have cats. It's not a really good thing to get bit by a cat. Cats actually have, you ever notice their front fangs, how they kind of curl up and they're kind of rounded? They don't go straight down, they're not little spikes, they're kind of funny shaped. Well, the problem is when they bite you, they go in like this and they turn and then they come straight back out. And because they turn and then they swell up, whatever is in their mouth is now in your skin. Ew! So it's really easy to get an infection when a cat bites you. You know, that's kind of the one thing about cats that people don't really think about, is that when you bring a cat into your house, a lot of people get annoyed because they want to climb on the counters and things like that. But cats want to be at the highest point they can find in the house. So that's why they're going to get up on the counters and the back of the sofa, because they always want to be as high as they can and look down. That's kind of their safety net. So you'll see some people who really love their cats, they'll actually put like a board across the top wall, kind of high up, and like a stairs, and the cat will walk up there and they'll just hang out up there and stare down at you all day long.
My name is Ethan Larson, and I am Great River Rescue's Mod Squad Coordinator. What I do is I basically do some of the paperwork of the squad. Terry helps me determine what dogs need to be in the program. I use social media a lot. I use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I put the dog's picture on Facebook in a small introductory paragraph and then post it with seeing the picture that they would be either interested in the dog or by word of mouth know someone that would be interested in that particular dog.
In a nutshell, what we do is we look at the dogs at the shelter and see who is kind of struggling, might have some problems. They might not have the best behaviors, or maybe they're scared or really excitable, and we kind of determine who we can work with and how we might be able to help them overcome some of those issues. We're going to train them to do different things, like what you would normally think of as like doing dog tricks. They're going to sit down, they're going to watch me when I want them to, lay down. Some of the dogs come in and they know how to roll over, which is fun. This is Elvis I've got with me, and as you can see, Elvis is pretty good. I've got him on a collar right now. And as I move around with him, sometimes he's really good, but sometimes he pulls really hard. So one of the first things we want to do when we're going to work with a dog is we're going to decide what is the best way for me and for him, for me to handle him. How am I going to take him for a walk? So if you'll see, I've got a collar on him, and I've also got a harness. Now I'm going to put the harness down here on his chest. Now, the reason I'm going to put it on his chest instead of having it on his collar is because from here, he can pull really hard. And if I put it on his chest, he can't quite pull as hard because I'm pulling right on this part of him. And so I'm gonna turn him sideways instead of him being able to use his full force to just run forward and try and drag me along. Now that we know that everybody's gonna be safe, I've got my trusty treats. They're gonna get him to kind of do things he might not necessarily know how to do, or I might need to encourage him to do those things a little bit. And eventually over time, they start doing them on their own. And because all you guys have good food and he can smell it, I'm assuming I'm gonna need treats to get him to even look at me. That, and you guys are probably way cuter than I am too. Up here. See, sometimes they just don't do what you want them to do. That's just the way puppies are, right? So we're gonna try something else. Elvis, come. Good. So now we're doing something positive. Sit. Hey, sit. Good. And this leash makes it a little difficult sometimes. Elvis, down. Hey, down. Come on, down. Does anybody want to try and do some ear slides? Let's start right back there in the back. So you're just gonna, good approach. So you're just gonna take your thumb and go right from here and all the way down real gently. And you can reach from the front and do it this way if that's more comfortable for you. Super simple, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. One more person want to try? Right here, right in front. So we're going to approach real gently. Yeah. And start all the way up over on the top of the head and go all the way down the ear. It's kind of awkward at first, isn't it?
Yes.
It's okay. And you know, the best part about these things is you don't have to do them perfect. The point is that you're not being all excitable, because we want to teach the dogs to be calm, because they have to spend a lot of time in small kennels, right? They don't have big yards that they're in 24/7 and kids to play with and all that stuff. So we try not to get them too excited. I got involved, I've been actually a part of the shelter for I think 9 years now. When I was on the board, Brandon started working with this program and deciding that we wanted to implement this program. And I got very excited because this was, like, to me, one of the big missing pieces. You know, because we have a beautiful place for the animals to be outside, and I think we have really good care for the animals. But the hardest thing is that some of them do have to be here a while. Some of them get a little wound up because they're here so long. And some of them we can't adopt because as they're here, you know, their aggression gets higher and their behaviors get harder. And so we end up finding, you know, that they're not as easily adoptable. So I love the fact that I can now help make the dogs more adoptable and give them a better stay here. If we're available and somebody wants to adopt a dog, we'll definitely talk to them and work with them, you know, as far as figuring out, you know, is this dog right for them? And so I think that the dogs that are going out in the community are a lot better behaved, and I think that the people adopting the dogs are way more educated on the dog and how to work with that dog once they get them home. I think the biggest asset of that I've seen is less dogs get adopted and then come back a short time later because they can't handle the dog or things aren't going well. So we're able to actually sit down with them and say, well, this is what works well with them, you know, at the shelter, give this a try, or this is what you're going to need to expect. And sometimes they'll say, you know, that's just a little more than I can handle, and they'll decide not to adopt that particular animal. But then we can help them find something that more suits their personality and what they're looking for. I think from that perspective, just the increase in education and the better fit with the homes is what is a huge asset to the community. And I think that we'll start to see a big turnaround in that, you know, as time goes on, as the longer this program exists.
How's the best way to give him a treat? Open hand.
Wait, out. They're gonna walk around this way.
Storm, ready? Let's go. I'm Conservation Officer Mishler. I work for the state of Minnesota for the Department of Natural Resources. I'm a canine handler with my canine Storm. He detects zebra mussels and venison, and we do tracking and evidence recovery. And we're here at the Itasca County Fair just doing some public demos and getting our word out. So there's extra responsibilities, obviously, aside from just a general conservation officer. I can get called out from any other agency for tracking or evidence recovery. And then I assist in a lot of the AIS check stations that the state puts on. So traveling all over for that because he does detect zebra mussels, and we only have 4 zebra mussel detection dogs in the state. There's a lot of traveling with it, and then he lives with me. We went through a lot of training. To start, he was imported overseas from Europe. I went through the same training that he did. We both trained at the same time, so I was a brand new handler and he was a brand new dog. We worked together for almost a total of 4 months, working on evidence detection and tracking, all sorts of different stuff. It was great. Actually, a big learning experience for both of us. I've always grown up working around dogs. My parents ran a commercial dog sledding business when I was younger, so I've always been around tons and tons of dogs and loved it. It was kind of a goal of mine ever since I was younger to become a canine handler. The most dogs we had at one time was 52, so I've been around a lot of them, but I learned way more about dogs than I ever thought I would just by going through the training with him. Kind of cool to see what they can do. There's definitely a big bond. We had never met before January, and within the first week of just spending time together and training, he would whine even when I just leave the room and tries to follow me everywhere. Kind of feel the same way about him. He grew on me a little bit. I think everybody is just drawn to dogs. Everybody loves animals, especially in Minnesota. It's a big outdoors state, so lots of people have hunting dogs or just personal dogs. So it's a really good opportunity to interact with the public and not just have him as, you know, what people think of as working dogs and just working all the time. He gets to interact with people and he loves people and people love him. I think it kind of helps get a positive image out for law enforcement in general with having dogs. People find it more approachable or, you know, come up and talk, say, hey, can I pet your dog? Yeah, no, you can pet him.
You're on duty, but oh.
It's okay.
You're so pretty. Also.
It's a great opportunity for people to learn about what we do that they may not have known about, and a good way to get positive imagery out. No.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry. Going to give you a kiss for petting him.
I would hope that would.
They're very effective. All the dogs do different things. We have 6 of them total in the state of Minnesota. 2 of them are apprehension dogs, and the other 4 are just strictly detection and tracking dogs. All of them have had really good success with finding whether it be zebra mussels or shell casings that have helped solve huge big game cases and assisted officers all around the state. Everybody has kind of heard of zebra mussels around the state and, of course, surrounding states. They deplete the resources for what's in the lake. It obviously cleans the water and takes the nutrients that other smaller organisms that are normally in the lake in turn can't take, so it ends up kind of killing off the normal ecosystem of what would be found. They're spreading throughout Minnesota. It's hard to put a stop to it, but that's why we have these detection dogs. By detecting them on boats, we're stopping them before they're entering another lake, hopefully, and stopping the spread. Boaters should just be aware that we're out there. I know a lot of people don't know that the DNR has detection dogs for zebra mussels. If they come to an access with one, all we do is run around the outside of the boat. If it's the public's boat, I'm not going to have him jump up on it, and people don't need to be worried about their boats being scratched. He's just trained to sit. He's not an aggressive indicator, so he's not gonna bite at it or try and scratch at it a bunch. We do a lot of community outreach programs, just like we're here at the Itasca Fair today, just kind of getting the word out about what we do. It's a great way to interact with the public and get the message out that the DNR wants to portray about stopping the spread of zebra mussels and giving more information about what the different canines and different departments can do. Feels good to be a part of, you know, something bigger. We're trying to stop the spread of the zebra mussels, an invasive species, and obviously it could have a huge detrimental impact on the state. Feels nice to be able to do something about it. I know it may not seem like stopping one boat with zebra mussels doesn't seem like much, but in the grand scheme of things, that's what we're out there to do, and it might stop the spread from one lake to another. I just want to continue to work with him throughout his career and see what kind of cases we can make. Hopefully we can do a lot of good things for the state and see where it takes us.
Thank you so much for watching. Join us again next time on Common Ground. If you have an idea for Common Ground in north central Minnesota, email us at legacy@lptv.org or call 218-333-3014. To watch Common Ground online, visit lptv.org and click local shows. Episodes or segments of Common Ground, call 218-333-3020. Production funding of Common Ground was made possible in part by First National Bank Bemidji, continuing their second century of service to the community. Member FDIC. Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money by the vote of the people November 4th, 2008. If you enjoy watching Common Ground online, please consider making a tax-deductible donation at lptv.org.